Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday, May 9th, 2021. Happy Mother's Day to everybody who is experiencing motherhood, whether it be on 2 legs or your babies have 4 legs or maybe they have 8 legs. I don't know. But happy Mother's Day regardless. Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Teri Hunter. I am here to talk about the transits this week. Good morning, Juan. We have a new moon in Taurus, and we know the moon is exalted in Taurus. So this is really kind of a fun moon, making a fabulous trine aspect to Pluto. We also have Jupiter dipping his toe into Pisces at the end of the week. And then we also have Mercury going into the shadow period. Those are the highlights of what I'm going to talk about today. Good morning, Val. Welcome to the show. So I want to talk about this new moon in Taurus because Taurus is really about the senses. It's about being on and in this earth, the touch, taste, smell, sight. And I feel like this new moon has an opportunity to really help us stay present in the moment and to ask ourselves, what do we really want? What do we want to experience with our 5 senses? Pluto making a trine aspect to the moon makes me feel like there's an opportunity to transform from where I've been, to dig deep and ask myself if indeed the things I thought I've wanted are still applicable to what I want now and where I want to go and what I want to experience. What makes me feel a sense of security? And I want to say it this way because I don't know that I'm talking about money in the bank. Of course, Taurus is going to want money in the bank, but I feel like what makes me feel secure has evolved. So when I was in previous chapters of this life experience, I thought one thing would make me feel secure. And now on re-examination, Mercury going into retrograde, what are my thoughts? What am I talking about? What am I saturating myself into in the way of media? That's what I think all this week has to offer us. I also want to bring up Jupiter dipping its toe into Pisces. This week, I believe Jupiter is at the 29th degree. And if you've studied with Nikolai, rest in peace, the 29th degree is the very intuitive degree. It's the last degree of that house. So I feel like if I look at Jupiter at the 29th degree of Aquarius, where have I allowed myself to innovate and in many ways start to play to the idea that my hopes, my dreams, that's what the 11th house represents in addition to other things, how can I utilize that energy and bring it back into the collective, bring it back into helping root it into a more tangible idea in our everyday lives. So I'm really excited about where we're going. I'm really excited about the idea that we are kind of in these, when you renovate a house, first is the demolition, and then there's the rebuild. And that's what I think we're in. We're in the rebuild. And as we give ourselves permission to review these dynamics in our life, and really ask ourselves, not in judgment of what has come previously, but an assessment. Does it work for me now? Doesn't it work for me? Does it make me feel like I'm thriving? Taurus New Moon. And again, I want to bring up the exaltation. I think that's really important. It almost feels like this energy of this new moon really has an opportunity to root and to nurture and to make solid, there's a good word, solid, the things I want to experience moving forward. And I want to say it this way, because as we feel in the present moment, if we're really connected, our feet on the ground, our eyes saying, what am I seeing right now? Then we have an opportunity to take that present moment and to capitalize on that, kicking in the laws of attraction. How much time am I spending thinking about what makes me feel amazing? Happy birthday, Lisa. Today is my high school boyfriend's birthday as well. I called him, or I didn't call him. I texted him last night and wished him a happy birthday at midnight. It was kind of fun. It's a little weird tradition I've had with him for decades now. Anyway, so I think these are things this week when you're walking through your week and we're going into the Mercury shadow period before Mercury's going to go retrograde in Gemini. So Mercury is in its natural sign. It is speeding around your everyday life, thinking and absorbing and reading and I really want to say, I'm not going to the teaching aspect. I'm not going to the teammate aspect. I'm going into the idea that my thoughts are things. And how can I take my thoughts and use this opportunity that the new moon has presented me this week, and to use that positive aspect of Pluto to dig deep into those thoughts. And are they serving me? And if they're not serving me, rather than trying to push into believing something that I haven't yet experienced, start to ask myself the questions. What if? What if there's something new on the horizon? What if I have evolved past who I have been or who I thought I needed to be for other people? And then allowing those things to just sort of percolate and allowing Spirit's inspiration to come in. So that's what I want to say. All right, well, welcome everybody, and happy Mother's Day and happy birthday. Blessed indeed. Welcome. Good morning, Juan. Good morning, Small Wildflowers. Good morning, Stephen. Happy birthday to Lisa. Good morning, Margarita, or I should say Margarita Silva. Good morning, Jeg. Good morning, Crystal Cook and Crystal Lynn and Keegan and Valentina and Gabriel and Posted Up and Andre. I said hi to Jeg. Shulin Spirit. I want to say hi to everybody because that's just how I roll. Hi, Tebow. Good to see you. Okay, I think I got to everybody. If I missed you, I apologize. Sending love and light to you. Queen Nadine. Nice to see you. Happy Mother's Day. Okay, so let's go into our readings. These are the angel's advice for traversing these transits. And again, I'm going to be focusing in on the idea that this new moon and the idea that Jupiter is dipping its toe into Pisces. It loves to be in Pisces. It's the natural ruler of Pisces. And I believe that this new moon and this Pisces energy, this Jupiter going into Pisces, is really an opportunity to start to take that 12th house to its higher vibration. Meaning this, am I saturating myself in thoughts that I believe? Am I allowing myself to feel a sense of retreat, but in a way that's more like a spa versus isolation? Allowing myself to sit in, the 12th house also represents our ancestors. It represents our ancestral vibration, I guess. I can very much put it into human beings in that dynamic, but I really feel like this is an opportunity to sit and to use Jupiter's expansive energy and its good luck and the 29th degree of intuitiveness and put it all together. And say to Spirit, I'm ready to start to live the vibration which I have been seeking. I am willing to invite in the experience of my own abundance now, and to, rather than look back over and over again into where I have felt insecure or unsafe, or that my material resources were not there. Now I'm willing to use the Mercury shadow period to harness my thoughts into a new belief, Jupiter in Pisces, so that I can be transformed and put the seeds into this new moon, this exalted new moon. We have new moons every month, but we only have one in Taurus every year. And to me, this is really Taurus planting and plowing the seeds on my own the farm of my mind. And to start to ask myself the question, what if? What if better things are ahead? What if all of the hardness of this last couple of years was about tearing away things that may have made me think I felt secure, but they held me small? So maybe I was making a salary of $50,000 a year and I felt a certain amount of security, and maybe that job got pulled out from underneath me. But now it's an opportunity to step into a vibration that is more authentic to where I want to experience now. And then I see how Spirit brings me even more abundance. So that's where I'm going with this. Welcome, Flamingo. Good to see you. I don't know if I can say that. Abishek Bahat, welcome. Okay, here we go. And hi, Shelly. Good to see you. Okay, here we're going to start with Pisces and work our way backwards. For those of you that have not been on my show before, I use 2 decks. The first is Messages from Your Angels by Doreen Virtue. The second is The Legend of Avalon by Colette Baron Reed. I do a 4-card spread. The first position represents the foundation. The second is the opportunity and or the obstacle. The third is the angel's advice for taking advantage of the opportunity or getting around the obstacle. And the final is the potential outcome for this week. Real quickly before I start, I'm going to address the 29th degree again real quickly. In what I've studied on Lotta's channel and through the teachers here and through Nikolai, the 29th degree of any house is the most intuitive degree. And I believe he came to that conclusion because you have been experiencing that house. So by the time you get to the 29th degree, there is a familiarity and a sense of knowing that allows instinct to take over versus your ego overthinking things. So when you have, let's say, Mars in the 12th house at the 29th degree, then Mars would represent really digging deep and cutting to the truth of what you know in your heart that others cannot see, because the 12th house is a house of isolation. It's a house of being reflective rather than punished. I mean, it is a punishing energy. I'm not going to say it isn't because it represents prisons, but in its highest vibration, it offers that. So, okay, now I'm going to really start with my Pisces. Here we go. Our first angel is, dun, 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 Rosetta. The second in our opportunity or our obstacle is Archangel Raphael. The third is Shanti, the angel of peace. And the final is Daniel, the angel of marriage. Good morning, Uncle Dan. Good to see you this week. Good morning, Darren. As I shuffle, Paula's psychic. Okay, here we go. All right, for Pisces, rising sun, moon, and stelliums, we have Rosetta being joined by the frog. We have Archangel Raphael being joined by the High Priestess. We have Shanti being joined by the Bee. And we have Daniel being joined by the Queen. All right, so Pisces represents the 12th house. The 12th house is a very spiritual house in its highest vibration. It is a house of completion. It's, if you think about it, we've gone around the whole zodiac, and just like the 29th degree, we have become familiar with the houses and the energies. It's like the fool's journey. So I want to offer it this way, because for my Pisces, as we see the week progress, and as you take advantage of the new moon in Taurus and really dig deep into what makes you feel secure, and I'm not talking about really money at this point. I'm talking about the feelings that the second house offers you in the sense of creation, okay? In, using your skills, because this is a time to have a childlike innocence. And when I pulled this, I couldn't help but see the pink wings so brightly, almost feel a little bit illuminating as if they're neon. And it's time to take flight, Pisces, to really allow this childlike innocence and to sing a new song about your life. And in many ways, this will offer you an opportunity to have the frog's good luck and to jump from one lily pad to another, and not in a way of judging, oh, this lily pad was not good, but it no longer serves where I really want to fly to. Because, Pisces, in your opportunity or your obstacle, and I have such chills right now, is to really go to that inner knowing, to the souls, to your oversoul, to this intuitive, the part of you that knows that you are more than just this physical body. And in doing so, you're allowed a healing or a reconciliation as you have these epiphanies, because there is an opportunity to feel peace. And that peace comes from being aware of your being energy. And ultimately, that's what I think the 12th house offers. When I think about the 12th house, I picture Tibetan temples and monks chanting or being in a place maybe in India where you're in an ashram where it's silent. So you're just here to notice the busy mind and then allow it to calm down. This is what's being offered to Pisces as you dig deep. Now, let's remember that this new moon makes a positive aspect to Pluto. And in doing so, it has an opportunity. Daniel is the angel of marriage, but what Daniel talks about is the history you bring into partnership. And this for Pisces is, what is your history? What are you bringing into your energy of reception? This reception, the queen is not about dominion here. To me, she's about receiving. She's the feminine energy that knows that when I give life to what it is that really brings me happiness, and I start to allow my wings to flutter in happiness in that direction, I start to receive. I truly believe that the universe, there's a formula, and we're here to remember that we are powerful creators. I don't believe we're here to be punished, and I'm not so sure we're here to learn lessons as much as we're here to remember the truth of who we are. And that truth is that we're powerful beings. And because the physical offers that Taurian energy of feeling sex, feeling food, eating food, tasting it, smelling good things, seeing things with our eyes, that's why the soul wants to incarnate, to experience those things in the physical versus what we know conceptually. All right, let's go on to our Aquariuses. I say rising, moon, sun, and stelliums because I believe the rising is how we view the world. It's the essence of who we are from our inside. I say the moon second because I'm 100% convinced that we manifest on our emotional body. It is my experience that it is impossible to create abundance when I feel lack, because my feeling of lack will then take my mind into trying to plug the hole of lack, which then inadvertently puts my focus into more lack. So that's why I say moon second. Then I say stelliums, really, because if you have 4 or more planets, and 3 planets can be considered a stellium. I think Ksenia, Juan had mentioned that Ksenia said the outer planets in a stellium represent a collective as well as an individual mission. But when you have 4 or more planets, especially personal planets like Venus and Mercury and Mars in one sign or house, it indicates a very strong focus that your soul has chosen in this lifetime. And before I go on to Aquarius, I want to mention something real quickly. I have been kind of having a little bit of a moment about Pluto squaring my ascendant, squaring my sun, and squaring my Mars all over the place. Aries rising, Libra sun. So I started to look at my chart a little bit more closely, and I realized that Pluto has been making aspects to my whole chart, my whole life. Most of my planets are all on the right side or right hemisphere of my chart. So it actually took the fear off of me because I started to realize that I have very much chosen my soul a transformational life. Apparently, I'm taking a master's class this time, and I want to get a lot of the bullshit over with. So Lisa 5988, if you have 4 planets in Capricorn, you too have chosen a master class. And I kind of, have surrendered to that idea. And in the surrendering of it, started to ask Spirit to give me the experiences of the transformation now versus just the decomposing of my caterpillar, if you get my drift. All right, let's go on to Aquarius. Well, let's wish for all of you in Britain who are moms, happy Mother's Day. I missed that in March. Okay, here we go. Matea, welcome. All right, I'm going to Aquarius. I go backwards. I start at Pisces and work my way towards Aries. So Aquarius, our first angel is Celeste. The second is Azure. The third is Archangel Gabriel. And the final is Bridget. All right, Celeste is being joined by the Trust card. Azure is being joined by the Owl. Archangel Gabriel is being joined by the Focus card. And Bridget's being joined by the Cow. Okay, so Aquarius. Celeste represents a new home or a new place of employment. And while that may be true for some of you, almost 100% of the time when I see Celeste, I think this is a shift in the way I'm thinking. And this is even more poignant for me today because the Trust card is a 47, which reduces down to an 11, which is the master number of thought. So for Aquarius, I believe what's going on for you with this new moon and with Jupiter giving you an opportunity to review what you believe and to spiritually step into a vibration that's much more authentic for you now. I think of Aquarius, you're so innovative. You are willing to reach out into space, into the stars for things that others are afraid of. And I feel like now it's time to trust yourself as you shift. I almost feel, okay, so I've been totally into listening to Disney songs lately. I have no idea why, but when I look at this, and you'll see it in the next set of cards, I'm hearing Defying Gravity from Wicked, okay? So this feels very much like Aquarius. It's time for you to leap, because look at Azure. She's leaping off of the balcony, and then here's the Owl. The difference between the lies that we tell ourselves of disempowerment, of inability, of that we are not powerful beings, and then there's the wisdom. And I believe that this is literally, I wish I could think of the lyrics to the song because I have them floating around in the back of my head. And Azure says to have faith. And faith is a powerful energy. Hope is outside of ourselves. Hope is wobbly. Hope is scary to me because it says, I really hope somebody comes in and saves my ass. And this is where Aquarius, in your innovative and very, in some ways, scientific, if you do an experiment, you will find that you've shifted your thoughts and you become more trusting of what they're creating because you're more aware of when you're in resistance. And how is that echoed even more powerfully? By the 111 people in the room right now, and the Focus card and Archangel Gabriel talking about communications. This is an opportunity for Aquarius to use this new moon in Taurus and root in your ability to focus on what it is you want. And that's the leap off the balcony into your life, because Bridget is saying to look deeper into what makes you feel abundant, nurtured, and that sense of give and take. And I want to offer it this way, because the sense of give and take is not necessarily with other people. The sense of give and take is thinking, because this is where I'm going with this. I can't help but think of science and technology when I think of Aquarius. So I think you could do an experiment. You could literally say, all right, I'm going to spend this new moon and this Jupiter time of reflection as it dips its toe into Pisces, and it's asking to bask in a spiritual dynamic. So let's play with something. What do I believe as an Aquarius? You know what? I believe I can get parking spaces. So what am I going to do this week? I'm going to claim my space with parking spaces. And as I do that, maybe I'll even up the ante a little bit and see where my resistance is, because I'm so willing to see where my focus is and to co-create, because I'm tired of sitting in lack. That's what I feel like. And I think it's really important because, Mercury is going into the storm period. So Mercury's slowing down before it goes retrograde. Again, an opportunity to review our thoughts. And our thoughts are things. They absolutely create, they're the impetus for our experiences. Okay. So let's go on to our Capricorns. Welcome, Nikki. Haven't seen you in forever. All right, here we go. Capricorn, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And I'll tell you, if you have a Capricorn stellium, the last two years or so have been so transformational for you. And I really believe that's an opportunity for you to use the higher vibrations of Saturn. Okay. Wow, you're welcome, Darren. I'm glad you could join us. Hi, David. All right, Capricorn, here we go. In our foundational position, we have the angel Daniel. In our opportunity or our obstacle, we have Grace and Antoinette. In the angel's advice, we have Desiree, and then we finally have Omega. Jenny, this is Teri Hunter's show on Lotta's channel. Lotta is not here today. It's Mother's Day. I hope she's celebrating with her children and her husband. I'm sure she is. Okay. Daniel is being joined by the raven. Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the serpent. Desiree is being joined by the queen. And Omega is being joined by Merlin. Natasha, I have not done, I didn't say that right. Natasha Gia, I think it is. No, I go backwards. I start at Pisces and work my way towards Aries, and I'm on Capricorn. All right, Capricorn, rising sun, moon, and stelliums. We have this new moon on the 11th here in the United States. I'm not sure where it is in the rest of the world, offering us an opportunity to really review how we feel secure, how we are walking. Are we present in our five senses as we walk through this earthly experience? And I feel like there is an opportunity for Capricorn to really dig deep in how you show up in partnerships. And I want to offer it this way because I don't think it's just marriage partnerships. I think it's in contracts in general. People you spend a lot of time with, that you exchange energy with in a give and take way, because it's time now for you to do this review and to have compassion for not only the other person, but for yourself as you start to reconcile some experiences where you may have been a bit of rigid. You may have been a bit, in the past, you may have found that the Saturnian energy that says, I need to do something whether I like it or not, you may have projected that onto others. And inadvertently, there was a boomerang effect. It's almost as if Capricorn may have projected a stoic energy in partnerships. Like, I feel like this is telling me it's time to dig into my emotions, not my brain, not my head. And in doing so, start to have compassion for where I've been, but shed that skin, because it's really it's not serving you anymore. Capricorn, Desiree is asking you to look at conditions of how you receive. How do you receive love? And how do you give love? Because I think in some ways, Capricorn may inadvertently give love from their perspective only. And maybe it's time to think about, how does your partner receive love? Or how do my employees or my coworkers or the people I spend a lot of time with, how do they receive my energy around them, my appreciation? Do they know that I have compassion for them? Because you may think it's obvious because you've been perpetrating certain behaviors that have been very dutiful, but they may not think so. I can't help but think about a certain person in my life who feels like she's a very giving woman. But I don't think she is a giving woman because nothing she ever does is for me. It's always for her. She's given me so many dish towels I could just throw up. I don't need dish towels. I don't want dish towels. I don't get them in the colors I like. It's all about her and her giving. And no offense to Capricorn, but I think it's time to take back your dish towels and start to see if the other person wants a dish towel and what colors they like, because you have an opportunity to rewrite your relationships right now. Here's the angel of victory, Omega, but that victory comes from being aware of your surroundings and being aware of how you land on other people. And in some ways, this really transforms and reforms your relationships. It makes them feel more magical, because I feel like in some respects, the people in your life will be so taken aback by your own transformation, your own willingness to open up, that it's like almost inspiring and startling to them. Because I don't think they would have given you credit for it. I don't think they would have given you credit for having those kind of thoughts. So it feels really good to me. And I want to offer it this way because it feels very much like Capricorn is starting, it feels to me, okay, I'm going to back up a little bit because of the Pluto going through Capricorn and now it's retrograde. So it's not, luck is, okay, David, I want to put it this way. Luck is preparedness meets opportunity, according to Oprah. And I agree with that. But this preparedness is your willingness to look at how you've been showing up in relationships, and not from your perspective, but from the perspective of the person you're in relationship with. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to acquiesce to them, but just giving it more balance, because there's a compassion that's necessary, not only for them, but for yourself, as you look at how you give and receive in love. And this transforms the relationship. So this is why I think this is so powerful. Jupiter entering Pisces for the minute before it goes retrograde back into Aquarius gives you an opportunity to sit in quiet and really think about how to infuse more expansion into your spirituality, and doing so, have an exchange of energy with the other people in your life. Okay, that's where I'm going now. I'm going to go on to Sagittarius. For those of you that are new here on Sunday, I go backwards. I start at Pisces and work my way towards Aries. It's my Libra wanted balance. I started this feels like 2 years ago now. And I just kept at it. So we'll have timestamps. One is so beautiful every week to put in the timestamps once the show's over. So be patient with us there. And we're going on to Sagittarius, rising, sun, moon, and stelliums. Okay. All natural, Rebecca. This Sagittarius is right now. All right, Sagittarius. Our first angel is Yvonne. The second is Archangel Michael. The third is Ariel. Woo! And the final is Archangel Raphael. I just got a huge chill down my back. Yvonne is being joined by the Death card. Archangel Michael's being joined by the Risk card. Ariel's being joined by the Stag. And Archangel Raphael's being joined by the Fire Fairy. Wow. Ooh, goodness gracious. Sorry, I have to take this ponytail out. I want to say, Sagittarius, all of this feels like vulnerability to a bigger picture of what you want in your life. Yvonne, to me, is an angel of vulnerability. I never had children. I've always had fur babies. And for most of my life, I had cats. Lucky's my first dog. And here's the transformation in the death card, which is also a 46, which reduces down to a 10. So I go into that. The ones are about thought. So now it's time to be vulnerable to your own transformation and to have the courage. Archangel Michael is not only the angel of protection, but also asks you in this moment to have courage to make the divine life changes that'll bring you towards your happiness. And this is going to be a risk. There is no doubt there is risk involved. And I want to put it this way. It doesn't feel like physical danger. It feels more like the contemplation of all things Taurian. What makes you feel secure? What makes you feel like you have plenty of money, plenty of resources, a home, a lovely home, I would like to say, because Taurus likes a lovely home. Because in the angel's advice, Spirit has been trying to give you new experiences. And I want to say in this particular case, I feel like the stag is a little bit about pride. And I don't mean it negatively. I mean it in a way of like, in the way of, oh, I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. And I think that's part of the transformation is that no. You will see it when you believe it. And that's why you have to be vulnerable. And there's the risk. The risk is to pay attention that Spirit has actually been trying to give you spiritual experiences for you to feel supported. And I don't know if you're connecting with it. And that's even further evidence because as you start to connect with it, the Archangel Raphael offers you a physical healing in the physical world. I don't know if this is necessarily in your physical body, because this epiphany that it is my vulnerability that is truly the impetus for change, my willingness to say, I deserve this, I want this, I have evolved in this lifetime, and this is now my time to claim it, because you will be inspired. You'll be inspired to make these changes and you'll be supported. You will feel the fire of life. You know, in Survivor, without fire, you have no life. So I believe that's what Spirit is offering you. You are a fire sign. Jupiter rules your sign, and it's going into its ancient ruler. So as you say to yourself, when you're contemplating your vulnerability, think about, am I being vulnerable to what's sitting right here in front of me? Or am I projecting something in the future? Oh, I'm going to age. My body's going to break down. Oh, money's going to be scarce. There could be a lot of noise up here. And as Mercury goes into the shadow period in Gemini, no less, it could be even more feel kinetic and all busy and noisy up here. And this is why you're going to have to go into here, your heart. And what am I vulnerable to? Because if indeed I want to make a change, then part of that change is knowing that something must die. And that death may be an old thought, an old way of being. It could be a believing that you don't deserve. All right, let's go on to our Scorpios, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Dana, I agree. I think the Holy Spirit is calling us. And I really do believe that Holy Spirit lives inside of us. And it's the part of ourselves that has a bigger knowing. The knowing that we don't die, the knowing that we never have to get it right and never really get it wrong. And that, you know, all we can really do is make the most loving choice in any given moment. And sometimes that has to be looked at twice. Because sometimes the first thought of a loving choice is, how do I make a loving choice for that over there, to our own suffering? And is that really a loving choice? Because I'm 100% convinced it's the win-win. I don't want to win at someone else's expense, and I don't want someone else to win at my expense. So how can I create a win-win? And I think that's where the world is really transforming. I think that's what Uranus and Saturn squaring in 2021 is bringing about. This idea of how do we create a win-win for us all. What about the homeless spiritual? Is it calling everyone? You know, I want to offer this, Remy. I think that's how you say that. I live in an area that has a high homeless population, and I've also lived in Santa Monica, which also had a high homeless population. And I don't know that these people are victims. Maybe some people are, but a lot of the people that live homeless around here, that is a choice of theirs, and they enjoy their life. I see them all the time, and they are, you know, they actually take offense to be looked at as if they were less than. I one time bought a sandwich for a homeless guy at Starbucks, and I didn't tell him it was me. I just told the guy at the counter, you know, I want to pay for a sandwich for that guy. The guy handed him the sandwich. The guy looked at it and he threw it away. He didn't want charity. So when you're looking at the homeless, there's many ways you can look at them. You can look at them as spiritual beings who have chosen to live a lifestyle that brings awareness to those around them. And it may not be an awareness we think is tasteful, but it may be an awareness that they think is tasteful. I don't know where the homeless are, wherever Remy's talking about. I can only talk about where I'm from. So, all right, let's go on to our Scorpios, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Whoops. Here we go, Scorpio. Our first angel is Ariel. Our second is Merlina. The third is Athena. And the final is Maya. Oh, Gabriel, breathe. We don't want you to feel anxious. We want you to feel trusting. Breathe. No, Uncle Dan, I cannot get you a snack. You're going to have to get up and get it yourself. And you can bring me one while you're at it. Okay, here we go, Scorpio. Ariel is being joined by the love card. Merlina is being joined by the disruption card. Athena is being joined by the wealth card. And Maya is being joined by the deer. This is very interesting to me because Ariel talks about new psychic and spiritual experiences, but when I think of it, sometimes I think, you know, Pluto is a very intuitive planet. Yes, it's the controlling aspect, but controlling people become very intuitive because they're paying attention. And so I feel like for Scorpio, now is a time for you to really allow spirit and your inner knowing and to open up to experiences that vibrate on the love frequency. And I want to offer it this way because this feels like it's an interior job a little bit. It's about rewriting love from your own dictionary. That's the way I want to put it. Because, you know, Pluto is a savory planet. It likes to dig deep. It wants to crawl into your skin, wants to know everything about you. And, you know, in its lowest vibration, it's to control the situation, to stave off fear. But in its highest vibration, it is to connect. And I feel like what Scorpio has an opportunity to learn right now is how to excavate, how to dig deep without being invasive or intrusive to your partner. Because some people aren't like that. Because in the opportunity or the obstacle is Merlina saying that you need more information, and then here's the disruption card. And I don't think that this is disruption in a negative way, but disruption of a pattern of doing things that may inadvertently get triggered. Because the detective in you, if you smell something underneath, may go on high alert. But rather than going on high alert, this is an opportunity for you to assert yourself. And there's the wealth card. This is about harmonious wealth. And when I say harmonious wealth, I mean a sense of thriving, a sense of knowing who you are. And this is what the angels are offering you. Lovingly assert yourself in your confusion. And this is not about asserting yourself to another person. It's going back to the inner knowing. It's going back to a bigger picture of what you feel on the inside. Because if you allow the dark dynamic of Pluto to dig deep, you're going to get into an energy that's put you on alert, which is going to have you excavating and maybe breaking pipes. I'm using these metaphors because you're learning how to be gentle and diplomatic when you know something that somebody isn't ready to express to you. And so by being loving and diplomatic, you are setting a ground, you're setting a rolling out a rug in some ways of communication that's more authentic without scaring the other person. That's kind of how I want to put it. I almost can laugh because as I look at this, I feel like sometimes Scorpio doesn't even have to speak. It's just the way you can look at somebody and they'll like know that you know there's more underneath the hood, and yet they're not really willing to lift the hood. So maybe in that moment of your own awareness, then you can say, I'm going to soften my face. I'm going to give the face, it's okay, when you're ready. And then we have more fertile ground. I think this is about Scorpio learning how to use their power in a more productive way. And that's why I feel like this Pluto, your ruling planet, in trine to the moon, is marrying your emotions with your intuition and with what you know. And rather than going in and sort of being like, okay, I need to. Sometimes Scorpio, being ruled by Pluto, wants to control the situation to stave off a bad experience. And I feel like transformed Pluto knows that my thoughts are the signal to spirit for my experience. So now I can shift all that. Elvira Rose, Scorpio rising at 29 degrees in the 8th house of Cancer. You are beyond intuitive, and trusting that intuition and being able to decipher where it is in a patterned, alerting energy versus a trusting inner knowing, and then it'll shift your whole life. Honestly, practice that thought and boom, you're transformed, your Pluto transformed, and then you just walk like an angel on the earth, helping others without even trying. All right, let's go on to our Libras, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. I love the 29th degree because I can only break it down to an 11. And when I see the 11, I see the thoughts. And I know intuitively, I know from experience, I know from everything in the depths of my cellular body that our thoughts create our experiences. And I'm so pissed off at myself when I get in a pattern thought. And yesterday, okay, this is pretty funny. Last night I went to get ice out of the freezer and I had a pattern thought that was not serving me. And instantly I dropped the whole tray of ice everywhere. And I thought, what a metaphor. And I thought it this way because I love the movie Frozen, okay? And you guys hear me talk about it. When I see the Let It Go card in this deck, it's the song, or the Letting Go card, it's the song Let It Go from Frozen. And I've been listening to Disney songs. So dropping the ice on the ground made me think about Frozen and about, it's funny how some distance, and is this thought working for me? And I didn't really even worry about the thought and where it was directed and who it was directed at. I just was more worried about, or aware of, is this thought serving me? I'm sick of this thought. I'm done. New moon. All right, here we go. Libra, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Wow, look at all our intuitive people in the show today in the chat. Trust that, practice it. All right, Libra. Here we go. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Rochelle. The second is Merlina. Ooh, getting chills all over again. Indriel and then Archangel Uriel. Isn't that funny? Rochelle is being joined by the Burden card. Merlina is being joined by the Fear card. Indra is being joined by the Perception card. And Archangel Uriel is being joined by the Birth and the Rebirth card. Okay. We're on Libra right now, Flamingo too. So I've been talking about, Pluto and Capricorn, and we've been talking about for a long time. There was the Saturn conjunction with Pluto. And when we were talking about that for a long time, I didn't even think about the squares and the opposition to the cardinal signs. So while all this has been going on, right, we're looking at Capricorn. Oh, poor Capricorn. In the meantime, Libra and Aries are getting pummeled with the square, and Cancer's getting the opposition. Now, this is where I'm going with this, because we're on Libra right now. So I think it could be challenging, especially for those with late degree Libra right now, because Pluto is going to go retrograde. I've told you guys, Pluto is sitting on my ascendant like nobody's business, like it's hatching a frickin' egg. And Lana scared me because she's like, how's your health? And I'm like, fine. I think I'm fine. And that's when I started to dig a little deeper about this transformation, because I wasn't about to spend the next couple of years scared out of my mind over Pluto. Because Libra, now's the time to follow your heart, and that is a burden. And it's a burden because Pluto's sitting on you. And if it isn't sitting directly on you, it's been sitting on you. I want to say that I feel like the burden of also following your heart is this whole being fair thing, like, am I being selfish? And I feel like, that's not true, because Merlina and the Fear card are in the opportunity and or the obstacle. And I want to offer it this way, because the Merlina is about being confused and indecisive, and fear to me is the thing that really creates exhilaration. It's the thing that once triumphed, once walked through and satisfied, it is the thing that it's that adrenaline rush. So for Libra, as you're confused about, am I going to hurt other people if I just think about me for a minute? Am I going to be fair to others? Is this really going to work out? You have an opportunity to shift your perception. And when I say to shift your perception, I mean it in that this is a time to stand in your light, to allow yourself the privilege of seeing that the light worker is not some magical being, but a human being that has their light turned on, that is willing to know that as I stand in what's important for me, then I have an opportunity to allow you to stand in what's in honoring your heart, because we have an opportunity to be rebirthed from any anger or frustration or unforgiveness that you've had. And I want to offer it this way too, because the Archangel Uriel and the Birth and the Rebirth card feels a bit like a wisdom has Libra in some ways projected out onto others that they are oppressing them when they're not really oppressing them. But Libra's own expectation of fear or expectation of fairness, not fear. Libra is a sign of balance. So Libra sometimes in a lower energy purports supposed balance just to get the other person to come back and be fair. And I feel like that little bit, hello, I'm a Libra, passive aggressive energy is no longer working for you. So as you take off the burden of what other people's expectations are and you follow what is important to your heart. Recently, I've had a situation where a person came back into my life and said they wanted a relationship with me, and then has continually canceled on me, not returned calls. And I'm saying to myself, why did you bother to come back in my life if you were going to just treat me like this? And then I found my pattern being triggered over, and that's when I dropped the ice. Okay. I was thinking about this person and how pissed off I am and how I don't get to say anything, because if I say one little thing, I'm crucified by a whole group of people. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to take the burden off myself. I'm going to give myself the permission to say, I don't want to make that phone call and feel crappy. I don't want to go into that energy and serve that other person's imbalance because they share my DNA. No, I'm not doing it. So yes, there is some fear, there is some indecision, but I must stand in my light because my perception is what I'm living with. My perception is where I feel my happiness. And I'm sick and tired of being pissed off. And that's what this new moon is going to offer me. My moon is in Taurus. I know when I was listening to people talk about the new moon, I didn't hear one person talk about that the moon is exalted in Taurus. This new moon, trining Pluto, has an opportunity to unleash Libra from the supposed fairness they've been perpetrating and kind of maybe be a little bit more self-focused so that you can recharge yourself, get out of this energy of feeling like you're trying to be fair and other people aren't, and then allowing yourself to be rewritten in some ways so you don't have to feel angry. Because I'm so sick and tired of feeling angry. All right, on to our Virgos, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. William, you are just so sassy in the chat today. You're an ox, you're Thor, you're Paul Bunyan. Are you growing? Are you Jack and the Beanstalk too? What is going on here? I can't catch up. All right, here we go. On to our Virgos, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. All right, here we go. Virgo, our first angel is Indriel. The second is Rochelle. The third is Isabella. And the final is Adriana. So as I shuffle, I can't help but think that Mercury, your ruling planet, is going to go retrograde in Gemini. And while both are signs of thought in some ways to me. Virgo, I think, thinks about things a lot because Virgo is seeking perfection. And I want to offer this way because perfection to me is the awareness that we are all fabulously flawed human beings. Indriel's being joined by the Fire Fairy. Rochelle's being joined by the Love card. Isabella's being joined by the Deer. And Adriana's being joined by the Spider. Well, this is very interesting to me because when I look at this, the first thing I think of is that Virgo has a great opportunity to start to implement the idea that the journey is one of imperfection. And for every imperfect moment, there's a perfect opportunity to sit in a vibration of understanding and awareness that every moment serves us in some way or another. Because I really believe this is about creative thought. I believe this is about being inspired to new action. And in some ways, Virgo, because Virgo is so dependable and practical. And, I got two wonderful Virgo energies, or Gemini, or I should say Mercurial energies as my moderators here, Juan and Small Wildflowers. And yet at the same time, I believe that Virgo can be very hard on itself, seeking that perfection, looking at where I didn't do it right, where I didn't do it perfect. And I think that's where the epiphany and the creative action and thoughts coming from. It's not about being perfect. It's about following my heart and the beautiful journey of starting to saturate myself in the things that I love. I think I've told you guys that I study and I'm doing past life readings with, and I study with Brian Coulter. So I want to put it this way. When we talked about Pluto, because I said to him, I got Pluto all over the place, and am I going to die again? It comes up a lot. And he's like, no, it's about doing things you love. And I'm a double Venus in some ways. My moon is ruled by Venus and my sun is ruled by Venus. So what do I love? I love doing art projects, silly little art projects. Virgo, this is about doing what you love. This is about giving yourself permission to see the wisdom of what that does for your heart and how it puts you in a vibration that is so much more accepting of yourself and others. It gives you much more gentility, so you can observe something and assess it and don't have to feel criticized about it or having to be perfect at it. Because I really do think the spider here is talking about creative projects and enjoying them. And because Adriana says she's leading you to the answers to your prayers. And what if one of your prayers, Virgo, is peace of mind? What if it's like, I want to lay my head down on my pillow and not think about every damn thing I have to do tomorrow or what I didn't do today? So allowing yourself to absorb yourself into your projects, something that brings you joy. And let's go to this Taurus new moon. Maybe you want to try gardening, or maybe you want to try, I think being anywhere, anything can be creative. So take anything, second house, listening to music. When I do my art projects, I like to do the diamond art. I love to color. I mean, I can do just about anything. I have so many little art things around. So allowing yourself to immerse yourself in these energies over this week, and almost taking this idea that as the week progresses, Jupiter's going to dip into the 12th house of Pisces, which also feels very much about like there's an energy of beauty. Venus loves to be in Pisces. So Venus must find beauty in being in that energy that is behind closed doors. You got to think about, why does she love being in Pisces? If Pisces can be challenging, what is it about it that she loves? Because I think that that's going to help you, Virgo, immerse yourself in a new energy. The Taurus moon has an opportunity to give you a new energy to put and to solidify that your joy, your love of peace of mind, and doing that through creative endeavors. That's the way I want to put it. And maybe that creative endeavor is a crossword puzzle. Doesn't really matter. You give yourself permission. All right, let's go on to our Leos. Rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay, everybody who's new, I go backwards. I start at Pisces and work my way towards Aries, and I am on Leo right now. Leo, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Well, let's send Monique some love. She's just declared to the universe that she's a mess right now. Let's rewrite that. You are fabulously flawed, Monique, and your journey is just beginning to reconciliation. Hi, Kate. Good to see you. Welcome. Happy Mother's Day. All right, Leo, here we go. Our first angel is Archangel Gabriel. The second is Astera. The third is Ray. And the final is Chantal. All right. Joining Archangel Gabriel is the Queen. Joining Astera is the Horse. Joining Ray is the Owl. And joining Chantal is the Focus card. Okay. Leo, Rising Moon, Sun, and Stelliums. We have the Queen. Oh, I'm just getting chills all over the place. And we have Archangel Gabriel. Archangel Gabriel in this deck talks about having a important life's purpose in arts and communications. And it's about, to me, the communications aspect is really the most poignant and the most powerful, because in this combination, this is about Leo giving and taking. This is about receiving. It's about surrender. It's about an awareness of resistance through my thoughts. So oftentimes the human wants something and it looks back into their experiences to see the viability of it. And if you have no experience, then the idea is not viable. I don't care, how much Leo rules the zodiac and how loud you may roar. It's now a time for you to look, Leo, at how you think and speak. What do you read and what do you teach about being receptive in your own life? And this is what I want to say about allowing things to come in, because Astera says to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. And then there's the horse. And it's interesting because the horse to me is an intuitive animal. It is running towards Astera. So now is a time to really connect mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually with what it is you want to experience and to take the leadership role that you were born to. Leo, this is not about dominion over others. It's about dominion over yourself and knowing that your natural fifth house rules the laughter of children, the enjoyment of romance, the fulfillment of personal expression and creativity. And now is a time really to connect with spirit in a powerful way. Look, the yellow here, the gold per se, that rules Leo. Here, your power comes from your connection to spirit through the heart, which you also rule, and the throat. And now is a time to decipher how you have been, in some ways, looking at your previous experiences and determining whether or not your future experiences are viable as a result of your previous experiences. Because here is the romance angel, Chantal, and there is the focus card. And I want to say this because we are in May right now, and in the United States, we're going to be heading into summer. Summer is Leo's season. And I think many people want to experience the things that they love and with people they love. And so now is a time to start communicating that way and taking a leadership position of reception as I allow the universe to bring to me the experiences I want. And rather than trying to figure out by looking into my history to see if they're viable, I just tell them, you know what? When I'm sitting in the vibration I want, it feels like this. That's all. All right, let's go on to our Cancers. Rising Sun, Moon, and Stelliums. And unabashed plug, hit that like button, everybody. We don't want to leave it at 69. Let's push it over to 70, 71, 72. Do I hear 73 likes? Okay, on to our... you guys are so cute. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, here we go. Cancer, Rising Sun, Moon, and Stelliums. I was talking to a new friend the other day, and I think this is what sent me on my Disney train. I don't know, but I asked this person if they were a fairy tale character, Disney or otherwise, who and what would they be, or who would most and best represent them? And then Thumper Rabbit triggered that memory in my head. Because for me, as funny as it would be, I'm half Scottish. And I recently watched Brave. And while the storyline doesn't necessarily indicative of my story. Boy, does Merida, she really feels like she and I are kindred spirits. So I wonder if you guys were a Disney character or a fairy tale character, which one most represents you? Think about it. All right. Cancer, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Here we go. Our first angel is Isabella. The second is Azure. The third is Daniel. And the final is Rochelle. Chrissy, are you listening? This is for you, my darling. And you know who you are. All right, Isabella is being joined by the Joy card. Azure's being joined by the Cat. Daniel's being joined by the Wind Fairy. And Rochelle's being joined by the Hawk. I just love this spread for my Cancers. Joy is the 37, which reduces down to a 10. I'm all about the numbers and the ones in my thought. Isabella says, yes, the timing is right for this new venture. A happy outcome follows your positive expectation. It is time to be joyous. It is time to allow the idea of this new chapter, this new beginning. We are all being rewritten right now. I believe it started, in a very powerful way when Uranus entered Taurus. And then as the planets transited through Capricorn and now into Aquarius, and we're about to go into retrograde season. We're going to have all the planets kind of starting to go retrograde, which is going to give us an opportunity to rethink all of these things, because Cancer, this last 2 years is over. And yes, the timing is right to be in the present moment and to start to perpetrate the things that bring you joy. Because Azure in your opportunity or your obstacle is saying your desired outcome will happen in the very near future. Have patience and faith and don't try to force it. Force is a resistant energy that actually puts a cog in the wheel of manifestation. So now it's time for independent thought. It doesn't matter if other people see what you see or feel what you feel. Your inner knowing will lead the way, because it's time to start to marry yourself, not to the thoughts that have tainted you, but to the thoughts that serve your joy. And the idea of bringing a marriage partner into your life. Daniel is the angel of marriage, and that is on, for many of my single Cancers, I believe that the last couple of years has been spawning ideas in people that have otherwise been independent and been fine being single. And I believe that if indeed you've been seeking a partner who was not seeking partnership, that now the wheels have turned, because I feel very much like there's an opportunity for people to come together in healthy partnerships now. And as you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, Spirit is starting to show you signs that yes, indeed, that relationship, that dynamic of being with people you love, spending time with people you love, feeling valued, and exchanging of energy between people that you love is here. We see that with the Joy card in the 37, reduces down to a 10, and the Hawk is an 11. So my Cancers, it's very much time to have independent thought from your history in love, from your history in relationships, to know that you have done the work. You are now sitting in an energy that's offering you an opportunity to close one chapter. But we know that when one chapter closes, there's a continuation in the next chapter. But the focus is shifting. And that focus is on joy and what brings you happiness. And you guys are making me hungry. I never eat before the show, so now I'm hungry. All right, on to our Geminis. I want a cook. That's what I want, so that I could just be like, make me this. Okay. Ooh. I should say a chef. I want a chef. put that on the list. Now, my Taurus moon, of course, wants a chef. I love food, good food. Oh, well, we'll have to do a gathering, and then we'll all get a private chef to be at the gathering and cook for us yummy food. All right, here we go. Gemini, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Francesca. The second is Azure. Ooh, love it. The third is Fiona. And the final is Bethany. Smalley, isn't this you? Aren't you Gemini rising or Gemini sun? I know you're Mercury. I think it's Juan's got the Virgo stellium and you're Gemini. Do they have Uber in the UK, Tebow? Do they have like DoorDash and Uber there? Okay, Uber Eats. Francesca, Gemini, is being joined by, rising, okay. The Swan. Azure is being joined by Merlin. Fiona is being joined by the Wind Fairy. And Bethany is being joined by the Owl. Francesca says, ooh, I got the chills again. What do you visualize right now? Negativity will block your progress. Well, this is what I want to say about negativity. Trying to be positive in the face of feeling negative is actually like putting gasoline on a fire. So if you're feeling negative, don't push yourself into trying to feel positive. Find a neutral spot because you're being offered transformation as you're more aware of where your focus is. Because sometimes that negativity is really not necessarily negative, but an opportunity to ask yourself if whatever you're starting to endeavor is actually aligned to where and what you want to experience. Because Azure says your desired outcome will happen in the near future. And again, I want to go to, defying gravity. It's time to close my eyes and leap. You guys got to listen to that song because Merlin is offering you justice and balance and alchemy, and to be in the energy with which you want to experience. And the angels are saying it's time for you to give up your thoughts about it. It's not about, again, more and more, the human cannot help but look into their memory bank. We find joy there, we find discomfort there, we find love there, we find isolation there. Our memory banks are the emotional center of our manifestation. And it is the thing that we don't take our circumstances with us because that would be too heavy, but we do take our emotional bodies into our future lives. I watch these silly shows, like I watch Outdaughtered, and I can't help but look at these 5 little girls all born within minutes of each other, all basically having the same birth chart, and each one's personality is so incredibly different, which for me is just a confirmation that the soul is the dominant energy and the natal chart is the landscape with which to walk through it. So as Gemini is aware of your thoughts, not in judgment of your thoughts, but rather, am I allowing spirit to am I giving spirit anywhere to go? Or am I micromanaging things with my worry or my indecision or my contemplation? Because now is it really, truly a time of self-care for you. And it's a time to decipher if indeed your thoughts are allowing for your transformation. So this is where I want to go. Let's say you have a dilemma ahead of you. Let's say you need to move and you're contemplating the move. And you think about, wow, I'd love to live near the ocean, or I'd love to live in the mountains. I'd love to live with a big deck. And then all of a sudden everything says, oh, I can't afford that. I've never done that. Blah, 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 blah. Mercury awry. So now what's the transformed thought? Maybe spirit has a bigger idea of things. Maybe spirit will bring me a situation that I've never had before, much more aligned to where I want to live, where I want to go. And what if the only thing in their way is me thinking it's not possible? So rather than thinking it's not possible, what if I said to Spirit, well, help me to anchor my thoughts into believing? Because, we do these exercises. I'm sure many of you have heard of vision boards. Many of you have heard of focus wheels and other devices that we use. But we need to pay attention to those devices, because if we're using those devices in the energy of lack, then those devices are actually putting our focus in lack. So our believability, our willingness to open our minds and our hearts to a bigger picture than maybe we've experienced is the key that unlocks the door to your greatest service and your greatest gifts. So Gemini, allowing yourself to go into an emotional place and allowing yourself to transform from the ugly duckling that you may have thought you once were into the swan that takes flight, because you're now aware of your focus. And then when we see Francesca, she's got her hand in this, she's like poking into a flower, but the moon behind it, using this new moon to take flight, to allow for the balance, and to say to Spirit, I can't always control my mind, so I'm going to turn it over to you so I can have an epiphany. And in doing so, taking care of myself in a way that is much more authentic to what I want to experience. And when I am in a challenging thought, it actually serves me just because I have an awareness of it. All right, that's it. That's it for Gemini. Going on to Taurus. Now, I cannot help but just harp on the idea that the moon is exalted in Taurus. I think it's so interesting that the moon is exalted. Thank you, divine knowledge. Is exalted in a sign that wants physical evidence. Okay, the Taurian bull wants physical evidence, wants to put its hooves in the ground, and wants to smell the food and eat the food and touch everything. So here we have this opportunity to take the things of our heart, our emotional body, and anchor it into an earthly experience. Use my emotions, not to pull me under, but to use them as a measure. Welcome, Kan Chan. Good to see you here. Space for the Soul. Good to see you here too. All right. Flamingo 2, Taurus. Here we go. Our first angel is Merlina. The second is Archangel Uriel. The third is Adriana. And the final is Francesca. They say that Taurus really emotionally doesn't forget much, kind of harborer of things that happen. And I can attest to that. And I'm not sure if it's my Aries rising that fuels it or if it's exclusively my moon. But I will say that the perception card just came out. So we'll have to take that, Taurus, because I feel like what this is an opportunity in this new moon to not judge, but to establish where you're being bullish in your energy and you're being stubborn to your detriment. I have found that one of the most powerful questions my moon, my Taurus moon can ask me is, do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? And boy, it took me a long time to say I wanted to be happy, because I thought if I'm right, I should be happy. But I was not happy. And we're going to discuss that as the Joy card joins Archangel Uriel. Then we have Adriana joining the Partnership card, and we have the Hawk joining Francesca. So my Tauruses, taking the darkness of this new moon and planting the seeds of your abundance. And that comes through your perception. And Merlina says that you're confused and indecisive. But I want to say that I really think that Merlina is a wizard. And so is she willing or what I want to say is, it feels like Merlina says, where is the magic here? Where is the magic in how you're thinking? Because the distrust feels like it comes from this lack of believing in magic. And there's the perception card. And when I say magic, I want to offer it this way. I believe that magic is not magical, but alignment. It's alignment to source energy with my true intentions of what I want to experience without resistance, and then it is made manifest in my life. And what do I believe that Merlina and the perception card are saying for Taurus? I am done being angry and unforgiving. I'm done feeling frustrated. I'm ready to step into joy. I'm ready to step into the idea that I am, as a Taurus, willing to identify when my perception gets stuck in a lane. And then I'm going to do my best to decipher if that lane is really working for me. Because if it's not, I'm willing to shift. And when I say shift, it's coming into alignment with spirit as Adriana is leading me to the answers to my prayers. And there's the partnership card. So let me offer this to Taurus, because I don't think that all of our human suffering is just for the human to suffer. I often think that sometimes our human suffering comes in the form of service to others, because as we triumph over that suffering and see how our participation in our thought process, then we can be of service to others. Because, Taurus, what do you visualize right now? Negativity will block your progress. And then this negativity is because in some ways, Taurus, it's about pulling yourself up above the situation. And there's the focus card, again, the thought focus. So let me offer this, okay? Because I very much have been feeling like I want to ask Spirit, for every hero, there has to be a villain. For every black, there's a white. There's contrast within this earthly experience. And what if some of us have experienced those lower contrasting energies because as we have triumphed or persevered or been Taurus and bullish in continuing on and enduring through it, and then our own transformation and our own willingness to reconcile the experiences, meaning they served me somehow. I tease people all the time that come to my house, and I tell them, if Paris Hilton walked up to me or Kim Kardashian walked up to me and wanted to talk to me about being impoverished and not having money, I would basically throw them both the bird and say, get out of here. You don't know anything about being impoverished or in lack. So sometimes if we've experienced lack and then we go into abundance, we are of service to others because we've walked that treacherous terrain. So that's where I'm going with Taurus. There is an opportunity for whatever confusion you're feeling to actually focus and hone in where your perception is. Because you don't want to be mad anymore. You're done. You're angry. Liberate me, Uranus, from my anger. Liberate me from my frustration, from the illusion that I am in lack. Because I am ready to experience joy in the earthly plane here. And I'm willing to let you lead me now. I'm willing to be in partnership with you, to take my hand off the wheel a little bit. And in doing so, Spirit will always remind me, what am I looking at? Where is my head turned? Because when your head is turned towards where you want to go, Spirit opens the doors. But when you're looking backwards while you're trying to move forward, you're more likely going to walk into something. And hopefully it doesn't hurt. All right, let's go on to our Aries. Rising Sun, Moon, and Stelliums. And I want to say this real quickly because things come to me as I go. When you look at whatever house Aries is for you. So for me, it's my first house in whole sign. So my rising is about my identity and who I am and how I view the world. But let's say that you have that in the fifth house or The eighth house. Look at the landscape of that. Look at the opportunity that whatever house it is the room with which you are experiencing that sign's energy. So if you are an Aries in the fifth house, then maybe it's about being brave and independent in your own creation, in what you want, in how you raise your children, etc. Thank you, Faith. I appreciate mahalo to you too. Thank you so much. I so appreciate the love that comes through the energy exchange of money. All right, here we go. Final sign, Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And if you have an Aries stellium, I really believe this is an opportunity to look at where your truth is. And if indeed you are thwarting your own truth, and that is creating frustration or anger. Okay. Aries, our first angel is Francesca. Boy, she's coming out a lot these last few signs. Then we have our patience card. Then we have Athena. And then we have Archangel Raphael. As I contemplate, as I'm shuffling the cards, I can't help but think, Aries is the natural first house and Pisces is the natural 12th house. Jupiter, the planet of beliefs, of higher education, of foreign places and travel, moving into Pisces. It's almost as if Pisces and that contemplation really is an opportunity to set the tone for how I'm going to take action when I get into that Aries energy. So I want to think about that. Francesca, Aries, is being joined by the letting go card. Patience is being joined by the forgiveness card. Athena is being joined by the Grail Knight. And Archangel Raphael is being joined by the wealth card. Okay. I am an Aries rising and my South Node is an Aries. So some people might say that I have anger issues. Some people might say that I can be a little cutting or a little blunt. And sometimes I guess people can think of me as lacking tact. And I would say that there was a chapter in my life when all that was true. But I want to offer it this way. I'm not that person anymore. Letting go card. Letting go card is the Let It Go song from Frozen. It's funny how some distance makes everything look small. Aries, it's time to rewrite who you are. And it's time to focus in on all the evolution you've actually created. And just because you still wield your sword, it does not mean that you don't have prowess and mastery over that sword. Because now is a time to assess all the growth you've done and to assimilate that growth and to reconcile that growth. Meaning it has served you. I think about my childhood. If I was a small, weak person, my mother would have killed me, literally. She was a violent, angry, pill-popping, crazy woman. And if I didn't have enough fire in me to push back, I would have died. And if I didn't die physically, I would have died emotionally and spiritually. So Aries, it's time to rise up and to own your power in a loving way, knowing that you are the Grail Knight. You are the spiritual warrior, the Knights Templar that is really here to protect those who are on the sacred mission of self-discovery that then leads back into the collective to allow us all that privilege. So as you lovingly assert yourself towards what is sacred to you, not what other people expect of you, you start to really anchor in that reconciliation. I don't believe in forgiveness. The people in my life perpetrate the same rude behaviors, the same entitled assholery, pardon my language, and I don't want to do it anymore. So I could go in there and fight with them with my Aries, bang, 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 bang. But you know what? I don't want to go there anymore. I know where my focus takes me. So what am I going to do as an Aries rising that's being squared by Pluto? I'm going to transform. I'm going to have an epiphany, and I'm going to allow myself to reconcile this experience and live in my own harmonious wealth. I shouldn't say, but I've had a situation where I probably should have called somebody back. And every time I contemplated making that phone call, it felt terrible to me. It felt like, oh God, what I'm doing is somehow supporting this imbalance by playing to their game. And I don't want to villainize the other party. So I just had to keep asking myself, you know what? You'll make that call when you feel like feeling less than, because that's how you feel when you hang up the phone. You feel less than, you feel discarded. So I'm trying my best not to villainize the other party, but I don't want to walk into it anymore. I want to walk away from it. And I don't know that in that environment, those people will ever understand my decisions. So part of my reconciliation is being willing to be misunderstood as I lovingly assert myself to what feels authentic to me. And I know that I will feel protected, safe, loved, and further cared for by spirit. I will know the harmonious wealth that I seek. And when I talk about harmonious wealth, it's a calming of my mind. It's an understanding of my emotions. It isn't being perfect. It isn't being perfectly happy or having all the answers. It's just letting myself be. So we're going to wrap this up with a beautiful, exalted new moon in Taurus, giving you an opportunity to plant the seeds for a new ground to walk on, a new sense of stability, to rewrite your history. The second house represents history. And in doing so, allowing Jupiter to expand the belief we have in ourselves, of our spiritual side, of the more real side of ourselves. And as we come together again next week, as Mercury is in the shadow period, we will understand that when we go into a retrograde, it offers us rest, rejuvenation, and reflection, so that we may then move forward more succinctly to what we love. And then the ripple effect is inviting others to join us and allowing them to live their most amazing and fulfilled life. All right, everybody, that's it for me this week. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm a contributor here on Lotta's channel. If you'd like to learn more about me or get a reading from me, you can go to Lotta's website. I'm in the readers menu. And I will be back next week with my trusty team, Small Wildflowers. And Juan, I thank you and I honor you. And I'm sending love to Juan's fur baby, Loretta. Hope she's feeling better today. And the little buggies in her belly are going away. And, I know, Space for the Soul, those squares, I'll tell you. But I surrendered. I surrendered to the square. I said, the square must be a nice corner in the new house I'm building. The new house I want to experience. All right, guys, sending lots of love to you. Peace out for this week. Have a great Mother's Day.